Hi everyone, Kim here for Treasurely Kit Club. What I've got for you today is a video on how to use the Shrink Prink sheets that we got in our card kit. You should have two of these sheets in your cards, tags, and more kit. One side is a smooth side, the other side is a frosted side, and what these are called are Shrink Prink kit, sheets from Dress My Craft, and they're frosted glass sheets. They're kind of like the Shrinky Dinks from back in the day, except they're a little bit different. You can color these, you can die cut these, you can cut these out. Like I said, you can color them with a couple of different mediums. And what I'm going to do is go through these today and show you how to create with them. This is the package, but like I said, you get two sheets. Here's one sheet. I already took one sheet and I die cut it, and I did a few little test sheets first before I go in and start to create. So we're going to go ahead and jump right into it. Like I said, I took some little trial ones first. What I did was I die cut these. I pulled out some of my old Tim Holtz alterations, and what I used were my tattered florals, and I used my tattered leaves. So I'm going to put together a flower, and we're going to have some leaves to it. And I had a couple of leftover pieces, so I had to practice a little bit first to get used to using these. And I made a few little pieces. I had a couple of little flowers left over. So this is how the pieces end up. But you have to be careful. The difference in these from the old Shrinky Dinks are these are a little bit thicker once they are heated, and they're pretty rigid. So you can see I broke off two pieces here, so you have to be careful. They are pliable when they're warm, but once they cool off, they are pretty rigid. You can reheat them if you want to shape them again, but once they get cold, you got to be careful because they can break. And here's one that I shaped a little bit, but you can also lay them flat. And like I said, you can color them. This is a flat one, and this is a flat leaf, and they can be colored on both sides. This one was colored on the frosted side with a Copic marker, and this one was colored on the slick side with a Copic marker, and I think I like how they color better on the frosted side. You can also use watercolor pencils on the frosted side only. You can use alcohol inks, you can use Sharpie markers, and you can use permanent ink. You can stamp on these. You can use transfers on these, but whatever you do, whenever you use it before you shrink them, because they do get kind of small and then it'll be kind of hard to use. So whatever you do, use it before you shrink them. Okay, so what I've done is, like I said, I die cut my flower, and I want to layer my flower. So I've got my flower pieces here, and I've also got my leaves. I've got a mat. Now this is an old mat from when I used to make flowers that I'm going to use. I've also got the little stylus that's going to help me when I heat this up. I've got my heat gun, and I've got some tweezers, and I've got a hole punch. As you can see, these have little holes in it. I punched a little hole in it. If you're going to punch a hole in it, make sure you punch your holes again before you heat these. So anything that you do to these, you want to do before you heat them. Now, I'm not going to punch any holes in my flowers. I'm going to go ahead and heat these. And I'm going to start with the biggest one, and then I'm going to go on to my smaller ones. I also have an acrylic block here, and this is going to help me if I want to flatten out any of my pieces. So I'm going to start with And it doesn't matter which side you heat these on, but I'm going to start with my biggest flour, and I'm going to use my stylus, and I'm going to bring you in a little bit closer so you can see the process here. And whatever you heat these on, you want to make sure that you've got something that's heat resistant under it. So I'm going to go ahead and start with this. And what you want to do is you want to have your heat gun, and you want to have it about 6 inches away from your Shrink Prink, and you want to use your stylus, and you want to use a moving motion with this. So you want to keep moving it around until your item starts to shrink. And so I'm going to go ahead and start, and again, I'm going to use my stylus to hold this. All right, now it's still warm, and I'm going to go ahead and start to form this. And this is very hot. And it's cooled off now. And so that's where I'm at with it. And so that's my flour. And I'm going to go ahead and move on to my next one. So my next layer is here. And again, the same thing. Now I've got 2 layers of my flour. Now here's my 3rd layer. And so far that's where we are. And now I'm going to do my last layer. So now you can see that's my flour, and I'm going to end up gluing these together. And at any point where, like, I want to adjust my center flour a little bit, I didn't quite get it curled the way I want it. There's a piece that's a little off, so I'm just going to heat it a little bit to get it pliable again, and I'm just going to readjust it. It's not going to shrink anymore. If anything, it'll flatten back out, and then you've got time until it cools off to readjust it. And so now that's my flour, and it will be ready for my card that I'm going to create with it. But I also want to do some leaves. Go ahead and do my leaves. And again, you're going to do your leaves the exact same way. But actually, what I'm going to do, instead of the gold leafing pen, I am going to grab my Copic marker. Okay, so now I'm going to color the back side of this, just like I did this one, because we're going to use these. I decided I wanted to use both of these. So I'm going to color the back side. Now, when I say I colored the back side, that means I colored the frosted side. And we're just going to lay this down, just like before. And we're going to take the heat gun, and I'm going to take my little stylus here, and here we go. And now, because I want that to lay flat, I'm just going to lay that on top of it. It's just heavy enough. And now that it's cooled off, it's flat. And now you see the color on it. And now I kind of have a match set. And so now let's put our flower together. And for my flower, I am going to use some small pieces of, it's the wrong one. I think I'm going to use some small pieces of foam tape on the inside because I do want to give it a little more dimension. So I'm going to press that in. I use a little small piece of foam tape for that first layer. I just want to press that down a little bit. Make sure that holds well. And now for my bottom layer. Now this probably would have worked better. I'm thinking about it now. Probably should have used some gloss gel medium or something. And I'm going to grab that out real quick. I'm going to use some heavy body gel instead. Don't know what I was thinking. I like using this. We've got our flower, and for the inside of it, we're going to grab some micro beads, and we're going to go with some blush micro beads from a past mixed media kit. And for that, I am going to take some soft gloss gel, and going to use that for the inside of it. And we're just going to take a little bit. A little bit on the inside there. Close that up. Some of that out of there. And then we're going to grab just a little bit of the micro beads for the center of our flower. Like that there. And so now we have our flower, and that's how you use the Shrink Prink in the kit. And we've also got the leaves, and now I'll be taking these and I'll be creating a card using these. So stay tuned for the card coming up. Okay, so another thing that you can do with the Shrink Prink is, if you don't have a die cutter and you've got some shapes, you can trace some shapes. This is a die, but I'm going to show you how you can go ahead and trace it. First of all, I'm going to add a couple of pieces of glue dots to the back, just because I don't want my shape to move while I'm tracing it. And I'm going to use a white watercolor pencil to trace the image. And to save my, to get the most out of my Shrink Prink, I'm going to put this as close to the edge as I possibly can. And then I'm just going to go ahead and trace my image. And you're going to trace on the frosted side. If you're using watercolor pencils, you've got to use the frosted side. Making sure I get a good trace. making sure I can see that outline of my image. And before I take it off, I'm going to flip it over because you can see through it, and I'm going to make sure I didn't miss anything, and I have a few spaces where I missed something, so I'm going to go back in and get that area that I missed. I'm going to go back, flip it over, and it looks good. So now I'm going to go ahead and pull that off, come off clean. I'm just going to take my little mini Tim Holtz scissors and I'm going to cut around that area. Set that aside, and now I'm going to go ahead and trim it. See, like I just had a little oops there, but that's going to be fine because I'm just going to go back around the other way. And we're going to be very careful with this. So you've got to be really careful, especially if you're using these Tim Holtz scissors, because these things are really sharp. So there we are. So I've got my image. There it is. And I'm going to do some stamping on it. So I've got two stamps that I want to do. I want to layer some images. I've got a script stamp and I've got a musical note, and I'm going to use some black archival ink to start with. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start with the musical notes. So I'm just going to do some random stamping. Go in with the script stamp. I'm going to take some of my watercolor pencils and I'm going to do some coloring. Actually, I'm going to cut part of the body as well here. I'm going to cut the body loose from the wing here. There we go. I'm going to take this brown. And we're just going to do some coloring in. And it's not a deep coloring. Okay, so now we're going back to our mat, and I flip this over. This is what the shiny side looks like. Actually, the shiny side doesn't look too bad. We're going back to our mat, and we've got our little stylus, and now it's time to get our heat gun, and we're going to shrink this and see what happens. Actually, I'm gonna try and round this a little bit here. Okay, I like the way that looks a little bit better. So now here we go. See what we get here. Okay, so I'm going to work a little quick here, and I want to bend the antennas up a little bit. And here is our butterfly. Actually, I'm going to warm the wings a little bit because I think I want them a little bit flatter. All right, that works a little bit better for me. And actually, I'm not mad at the coloring. So here is our butterfly. And that's the coloring on the back, the frosted side, with the script and the music notes. It's going to go along with our flower that we did, and eventually these are going to get used on our mixed media kit. But that is another way that you can use the Shrink Prink in here. Shrink Prink in here. I always have trouble saying that. But you can use your watercolor pencils on them to color them. And this is our final flower once the center dried. Let's see if we can get that to focus. And that's the little center with the glass beads. And once all the heavy body gel dried and it's all held together. So we've got that. And our leaves. We've got our leaves, and these are all going to end up being used on our mixed media kit, and that's going to be part 2 to show you the pieces and how I use them on the mixed media kit. So that's it for now. Stay tuned for part 2. We'll be back with part 2, so stay tuned for that. But thanks for watching this. Hopefully I've given you a few good ideas on how to use your mixed media kit. And this has been Kim for TreasureLeeKits.com. Thank you for watching. If you're not subscribed, please hit the subscribe button down below and hit the little bell so that you'll be notified when we upload our videos. And make sure you head over to our website at www.TreasureLeeKits.com so you can check out our kits and our chipboard, and maybe subscribe so you'll never miss out on another kit, or just pick up any kits that we have in stock, as well as our laser cut chipboard. So again, thanks for watching. Bye.